Today's topic is propagation of TE waves. TE waves in rectangular waveguide. So the concept what we know, that is for TE waves, that is transverse electric waves, there is no field component, electric field component along the direction of propagation, that is Ez is equals to 0, and we are having Hz along the direction of propagation. Okay, so with respect to this TE waves, we know the wave equation for TE waves. These wave equations also known as Helmholtz equation. That is del square Hz is equals to minus omega square mu epsilon Hz. So we can write down the partial differentiations in all the three x's. Hz del x2 plus omega square mu epsilon Hz. So for del 2 del z2 we can write down as a gamma square. So this gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon, it is h square as we have been taken earlier, same way. Since square is equals to gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon. Now this is a partial differential equation. We need to find out the solution for this. Assume a solution Hz is equals to x into y, where x is a pure function of x only, and y is a pure function of y only. So we can write down this one as same way what we did for the earlier case, that is I am just skipping some step. 1 by x dx2 by dx2 plus 1 by y, it is not a partial, now it is direct derivative, d2y by dy2 plus h square is equals to 0. Now let us assume this part as minus b square and this part as minus a square. So which will reduce into h square is equals to a square plus b square. Now when we have solved for this x and y by separation variable method, solving for x and y by separation of variable method, we can find this x equals to c1 cos bx plus c2 sin bx. It is for x. Same for y, c3 cos ay plus c4 sin ay. So therefore our hz x into y, c1 cos bx plus c2 sin bx multiplied with c3 cos ay plus c4 sin ay. Question number 2. Now previously what we have taken, that for TM wave Ez is the tangential component of the walls of the waveguide. Ez for earlier case, Ez was taken as the tangential component on the walls of the waveguide, and since the tangential components will remain same for the electric field, we are taking that Ez is equals to 0 at every wall. Now for this case, as Hz is the tangential component, so we can't take this Hz as 0. We can't take this Hz as 0 because from the boundary conditions, what we know, the difference between the tangential component will be depending upon the surface current. Now if surface current is 0, then we can say these tangential components be separated by some boundary. So this two medium, on these two medium, whatever the tangential component exists with respect to magnetic field, then these two are same. But if the boundary or the interface is having certain surface current, then the difference between these two tangential components will be depending upon the surface current itself. Okay. So let us consider this is the waveguide. This is the waveguide. These are the different walls, conducting walls. So on this wall we are having our Hz because Hz is tangential on these walls. So this Hz will depend upon the surface current. It will depends upon the surface current. So we can't take this Hz is 0 because let us consider this walls is having certain thickness. So inside this wall, whatever the field, because the interface which is separating two different mediums, so interface is having very negligible thickness. So we can consider the field exists in the conducting medium and in the free space, if this waveguide is filled with some free space. So it has been separated by a very thin surface, that is very thin interface. So inside the conductor there should not be any field that will migrate to the surface of the conductor. So if we consider that according to our concept of boundary conditions for magnetic field, that is H1 minus H2 cross normal vector, that is our Js. So what is this Js? Js is the surface current density. Okay. So this H1, for our case, it is the field should exist inside the conductor, and this H2, it is the field in the medium inside the waveguide. So H1 should be 0, since there should not be any field inside the conductor. All of the field should migrate to the surface. So this field H2, it is completely depending upon the surface current, this Js. Previously we have taken Ez0 because these metallic walls will act as an equipotential surface, and on that surface the electric field will get short circuited. So Ez is completely 0 on these walls. There is no difference, there is no potential difference. Okay, so we need to consider this Hz. This Hz can't be 0. So for the earlier case, we have our Ez. This is our Ez. This is the expression of the Ez, and we have taken this Ez 0 depending upon the different walls, like this, depending upon the different walls, left side, top plane, then right side, in this way, left side, right side, all those things, bottom plane, all those things we have considered, and we have taken this tangential component Ez is completely 0, and after that we have been found out all the constants C1, C2, C3, like this. But for this case, since we can't take this Hz0, so what we are supposed to do, we going to find out all the field components depending upon this Hz. We going to find out all the field components, Ex, Ey, Hx, Hy, all those things, which all the 4 field components we will first find out. Then depending upon the location of the walls, we will find out which field component going to be 0 on that wall. For the TM waves, we have considered Ez. It is tangential to every field because it is along the direction of wave propagation. It is tangential to every walls. So we have considered that Ez is 0. Now, since Hz is also tangential component on all the walls, but this Hz can't be 0 because it will completely depending upon the surface current. So for this problem, we'll first find out all the field components Ex, Ey, Hx, Hy, which are completely depending upon this Hz. After this, we will derive this constant C1, C2, C3, C4 depending upon the field components, and depending upon the field components 0 field components on which wall. Either it is 0 on the right side wall, either it is 0 on the left side wall, either it is on the top plane, either it is on the bottom plane. So previously we can say we have been generalized expression with respect to field components. Now we have segregated and we going to find out specifically the field components and their characteristics on the different walls, either they are 0 or not. So depending upon that we have our constant values C1, C2, C3, C4. So Hz we have derived. So this Ex, Ey, Hx, Hy, all of them are depending upon this Hz. We will going to find out those expression first. So on the field components Ex, Ey and Hx, Hy. So we didn't need any kind of H because Hz we can't take them as a 0. We'll simply deal with the Ea, electric field, because this electric field can be considered as the 0 on the walls, but this magnetic field can't be considered as 0. So we'll simply go with the electric field and we'll find out on which wall this electric field going to be 0. So this Ex, if you can remember, very beginning of the classes we have derived all the field components depending upon Hz and Ez. So for this case we going to put Ez is equals to 0 and Hz from this derived expression. This expression for this Hz will put on the Ex, Ey and Hx, Hy. So this Ex, that will be minus j omega mu by h square del Hz by del y. So Hz we have already derived. Hz we already have derived. So if we put this Hz over here, this Ex expression will be like this, minus j omega mu by h square, then a into c1 cos bx plus c2 sin bx into minus of c3 sin ay plus c4 cos ay. It is for Ex. Let us give equation number 3. Same for Ey, it is j omega mu by h square del Hz by del x. So this will come out as j omega mu by h square b into minus of c1 sin bx plus c2 cos bx into c3 cos ay plus c4 sin ay. Now we are going to find out this Ex. Out of this Ex and Ey, these field components are 0 on which wall? Okay. So this Ex, Ey are 0 on which of the walls? So these are the boundary conditions we are going to apply based on this electric field component. Okay. So this Ex and Ey, in this direction it is Ex, right? So this Ex can be tangential, Ex field component can be tangential on the horizontal walls. Which are the horizontal walls? That is this bottom wall and this top wall, right? Because it is Ex in this direction, along the direction of x. So this Ex field component will be tangential on the bottom wall as well as on the top wall. Now if we consider Ey, Ey is along the y-axis. So this Ey field component will be tangential on the left side wall as well as on the right side wall. So this Ex will be 0 for this bottom and top wall. This Ey will be 0 for this left side and right side wall. So by taking these boundary conditions, we are going to find out the constants. Okay, defined constant value. So applying boundary conditions, to Ex and Ey. First, since Ex is tangential to the horizontal walls of the waveguide, that is Ex is equals to 0. This horizontal wall is located at y is equals to 0 and y is equals to b, and they are extending from 0 to a for x, right? So this Ex is equals to 0 at y is equals to 0 for all values of x ranging from 0 to a. This is our bottom wall. Same, top wall is at y is equals to b for all values of x ranging from 0 to a. This is our top wall. If we going with respect to Ey, since Ey is tangential to the vertical walls of the waveguide, that is Ey is equals to 0. So this vertical walls, one is left side, other is right side. So this left side is located for x equals to 0 and for all values of y ranging from 0 to b. This right side wall is at x equals to a and it is for all values of y from 0 to b. So Ey is equals to 0 at x equals to 0 for all values of y ranging from 0 to b. This is our left side wall. Same other ways, x equals to a for all values of y ranging from 0 to b. This is our right side wall. Now we going to apply these boundary conditions on this Ex and Ey. So boundary condition 1, this boundary condition, that is Ex is equals to 0 at y is equals to 0 and y is equals to b. Okay, so y is equals to 0, so this term will be 0. So we can find out C4 is equals to 0 for this first condition. And if we go with y is equals to b, we can find out this constant a. So boundary condition 1 from condition 1, C4 is equals to 0 and a is equals to n pi by b. Same here, n is equals to 0, 1, 2 dot dot up to infinite. From boundary conditions 2, we are having C2 is equals to 0. I am just skipping the step, you just go with the same step what we did for the earlier case. and b is equals to m pi by a. Here m and n, both of them starting from 0, 1, 2, like this. Okay, so we are having our constant values from these field components. Then we can simply put these constant values on the hz expression, on this expression we can easily put. So this one will get simplified. So this hz will be c1 c3 cos m pi by a x into cos n pi by b y. So c1 c3 is considered as a single constant c. So this hz finally c into cos m pi by a x into cos n pi by b y. So this is our hz. Now once we are having our hz, we can again go with this del hz by del y to find out ex, ey, hx, hy. I am just writing all the expressions for the field components. Ex is j omega mu by h square c into n pi by b cos m pi by a x sin n pi by b y. We have been adding the time variation as well as the directional propagation, that is e to the power j omega t minus gamma z. Ey is minus j omega mu by h square c into m pi by a sin m pi by a x cos n pi by b y e to the power j omega t minus gamma z. Hx, it is gamma by h square c into m pi by a sin m pi by a into x cos n pi by b to y per j omega t minus gamma z. Hy, it is gamma by h square c n pi by b cos m pi by a x sin n pi by b y e to the power j omega t minus gamma z. So these are the all four field components. Now once we are having all the field components, we can easily find out what are the different modes exist. So for the TM wave, we have found that our modes were starting from TM11. Okay, now let us check what are the different modes exist from these field components. TE modes in rectangular waveguide. Now if we have our first mode, that is TE00, so what does it mean? M is equals to 0, N is equals to 0. So this M is equals to 0 and N is equals to 0, if we put here, we'll have all the zero values for all the field components, either Ex, Ey, Hx and Hy, all of them will become 0. Okay, but if we put this m and n on this Hz, since it is cos, so this Hz is not 0. Other field components are 0, then Hz is not 0. That is, the field components which exist on the transverse plane, they 0, but the field component which exists along the direction of wave propagation, it is non-zero. So how it is possible? So without any field component along the transverse plane, how it is possible to have this non-zero field component along the direction of propagation? Though it is mathematically possible, but practically it is not possible. Now let us check other field components. TE01, that is m is equals to 0, n is equals to 1. So if we look into this field components, we will find that our Ey is 0, Hx is 0, but Ex and Hy exist, right? M is equals to 0, so m is equals to 0, this Hx will also become 0. Now third one, TE10, that is m is equals to 1, n is equals to 0. So n is equals to 0, Hy will be 0, Ex will be 0. Ex is 0, Hy is also 0. So we are having Ey and Hx exist. Now let us take other higher order modes. TE11, that is m is equals to 1, n is equals to 1. Then all the field components will exist. All the field components will exist, as well as higher order modes. Higher order mode means after that, if we go for 1 2 2 1 2 2 2 3 in this way, then all of them will exist. So if we compare with the TM modes, the TM modes are starting from TM11, but for this TE waves, this will exist from 0 1 onwards, 0 1 1 0 1 1 1 2 2 1 2 2, like this all the modes will exist. So we have our knowledge about the modes, which are the different modes can be exist for this rectangular waveguide. Either it is TM wave, either it is TE waves. Now there is a concept called dominant mode. Dominant mode, it is that mode which is having cutoff wavelength maximum. It is that mode which will produce a maximum value of cutoff wavelength, that is lambda c. So if that mode, the lambda c is the maximum one out of all other modes, then that mode will be considered as a dominant mode. Okay, let me write this. It is that mode for which the cutoff wavelength that is lambda c, assumes a maximum value, or if we convert this lambda c, which is maximum, our fc will become minimum, or fc is lowest. So the mode for which cutoff frequency is the lowest cutoff frequency among all other frequency components, if this is the lowest cutoff frequency, this is the lowest value of the frequency for which the waveguide will have the propagation, or the frequency component which will be supported by the waveguide. So if it is the lowest value among all the frequency components, then we can say it is having the dominant mode, or the waveguide is operating with dominant mode. Now let us check which mode is the dominant mode, that is, which is having the, out of all the modes which we have considered for the TM or TE, out of all these modes, which mode is the dominant mode, that is the mode which will having the highest cutoff wavelength and the lowest cutoff frequency. Okay, so according to the concept, that is lambda c, it is twice AB by m square b square plus n square a square. Now let us check for TE01, because we will having TE01, TE10, TE11 as well as TM11. So the modes we will be starting from TE01, then we will gradually progress to the other modes. So let us check TE01. So this lambda c 01. So it is twice AB, m is 0, n is 1. So that one will be A, that is twice B. TE10, that is lambda c 10. So m is 1, n is 0. So it is twice AB by B, that is twice A. If we go with TE11, that is lambda c11, that is twice AB by root over a square plus b square, which is same as TM11. Now after that we will have other values, other modes also we can consider, but let us check up to this whether we can have the highest wavelength or not, or the lowest frequency of operation is there or not. Okay, so for the waveguide we have considered A is greater than B. A is the higher dimension, B is the smaller dimension of the waveguide. So out of all this cutoff wavelength, we can find this 2A is the highest one. 2A is the highest cutoff wavelength, because A is greater than B. A is greater than B. So if A is 5, B is 3, then it is 10, it is 6. And for this lambda c11, it is even lower than this. So we can consider this TE10 is the dominant mode. TE10 is the dominant mode for rectangular waveguide. Dominant mode. Why? Because this mode will produce highest cutoff wavelength. Highest cutoff wavelength means on this mode, if the waveguide is operated on this mode, then the frequency component which can be supported by the waveguide can have the lowest value. So if we are having different frequency components, out of those frequency components we can operate the waveguide with the lowest one. We can operate the waveguide with the lowest one, but obviously this will be depending upon the waveguide dimension as well. That is, A or B. So we can, in the reverse way, we can also say if the waveguide broader dimension A is equals to lambda C10 by 2. If the broader dimension of the waveguide is lambda C10 by 2, then the waveguide can be operated with the dominant mode. Then the waveguide can be operated with dominant mode if this is the dimension, broader dimension of the waveguide. Then the propagation can be possible inside the waveguide starting from the dominant mode. Okay. Now there is an expression or relation that is known as dispersion relation. Dispersion relation. What is this? I'm just now either for TE or TM we have seen that H square, it is A square plus B square, which is m pi by A whole square plus n pi by B whole square. Now what is this H square? H square is gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon, right? Is equals to m pi by A whole square n pi by B whole square, right? So what is this gamma? Gamma is root over of m pi by A whole square plus n pi by B whole square minus omega square mu epsilon. So to have the propagation, what we have considered, this gamma should be imaginary value. That is, out of alpha plus j beta, alpha should be 0, right? So how it is imaginary value? If this omega square mu epsilon is greater than m pi by A whole square plus n pi by B whole square. That is, for the lossless transmission, for lossless transmission we need the beta value. That is, beta is equals to minus m pi by A whole square minus n pi by B whole square whole to the power half. Now what is this beta? Beta is phase shift constant, right? So let us find out what are the different parameters by which this beta can be changed. So first thing is medium parameters, that is mu and epsilon. So once we have fixed a waveguide, so inside that waveguide or the waveguide is filled with which kind of medium, depending upon that the beta will be decided. So if once we have decided this mu and epsilon, the beta will be decided. Then beta will not change because the medium inside the waveguide will remain same. Then another thing is A and B. A and B is the dimension of the waveguide, width and height of the waveguide. So once the waveguide is decided, it is in metallic structure, this dimension will not change. Then which is the parameter which can be changed? That is the operating frequency. So if the operating frequency is changed for a particular waveguide, then the beta will change. So depending upon the operating frequency, every time the beta will change. So if the waveguide is operated with different frequency components, then this beta will be different for the different frequency components. It is different for different frequency component. So we can say this beta will give different kind of phase shift for different frequency component. So this change in phase shift depending upon the frequency components, it is known as dispersion of the wave, because for different frequency components the waveguide will undergo different phase change. That is what known as the dispersion of the waves. Fine. So this relation beta is equals to omega square mu epsilon, this relation it is known as dispersion relation. Why? Because it will give us the idea how this phase is going to change for different frequency components. Fine. Up to this, any doubt? Anyone? Anyone having any doubt? You can ask. Okay, then I am concluding for this class.